My name is Jessica, and I'm a 28-year-old software engineer with 12 years of experience building applications that most people couldn't even begin to understand. For the past 3 years, I've been sharing a cramped 2-bedroom apartment in downtown Austin with my roommate Vanessa, a marketing coordinator who somehow believes her 2 years at a digital agency make her a tech visionary. The irony of our living situation wasn't lost on me. While Vanessa spent her evenings networking at startup events and posting inspirational quotes about entrepreneurship on LinkedIn, I was quietly building something revolutionary in my bedroom-turned office. What she didn't know was that I'd been developing an AI-powered mental health platform called MindBridge for the past 18 months, working nights and weekends while maintaining my day job as a senior developer at a consulting firm. "Jess, are you seriously still coding at midnight?" Vanessa would complain, standing in my doorway in her silk pajamas. "You know there's more to life than staring at screens, right? Maybe if you actually network like I do, you'd understand how business really works." I'd smile politely and continue typing. What Vanessa didn't realize was that my antisocial evenings were actually spent in video calls with Dr. Patricia Hendricks, former CTO of 3 Fortune 500 companies and current managing partner at Pinnacle Ventures, one of the most prestigious venture capital firms in the country. Dr. Hendricks had discovered my work through a technical paper I'd published 2 years ago and had been mentoring me ever since. Our relationship began when she cold emailed me after reading my research on machine learning applications in therapeutic intervention. "Your approach to emotional pattern recognition is exactly what the mental health industry needs," she'd written. "Would you be interested in exploring this further?" Those imaginary mentor conversations Vanessa mocked were actually intensive strategy sessions where Dr. Hendricks and I refined MindBridge's architecture, discussed market positioning, and planned our eventual funding approach. She'd been so impressed with my work that she'd already committed to leading our Series A round once we were ready to launch. The problem was Vanessa's increasingly intrusive behavior. She'd taken to accidentally overhearing my phone calls, asking probing questions about my project, and offering unsolicited advice about how I should pivot to something more marketable. "Mental health apps are so oversaturated," she'd lecture while I cooked dinner. "What you really need is something more social media focused. Have you considered adding influencer partnerships? That's where the real money is." I'd nod noncommittally while internally cringing. Vanessa's understanding of technology ended at posting Instagram stories, yet she spoke with the confidence of someone who'd built billion-dollar companies. The situation escalated 3 months ago when I made the mistake of leaving my laptop open while I ran to grab coffee. I returned to find Vanessa quickly closing my screen, claiming she'd accidentally bumped it while cleaning. But I noticed she'd been unusually interested in my work ever since, asking specific questions about user interface design and monetization strategies. "You know, Jess," she said one evening while I was debugging a particularly complex algorithm, "maybe you should consider bringing in a business partner. Someone who actually understands market dynamics and user acquisition. I mean, you're brilliant with the technical stuff, but business development isn't really your strength." The condescension in her voice was unmistakable. Vanessa genuinely believed that my 12 years of experience, my engineering degree from MIT, and my successful consulting career meant nothing compared to her 2 years of creating social media campaigns for local restaurants. Last Tuesday, everything changed. I was working late in my room when I heard Vanessa on the phone in the living room, her voice carrying the performative enthusiasm she used in professional settings. "Yes, I'm so excited about the presentation tomorrow," she was saying. "MindBridge is going to revolutionize how people approach mental wellness. The AI integration is absolutely groundbreaking." My blood ran cold. I crept closer to my door and listened as she continued. "I've been developing this for almost 2 years now. The machine learning algorithms can predict emotional patterns with 94% accuracy. We're projecting $50 million in revenue by year 3. She was quoting my exact numbers, the figures I'd shared with Dr. Hendricks just last week during our confidential strategy session. "The best part is I don't have any co-founders to split equity with. This is entirely my vision and execution." I stood frozen in my doorway, listening to Vanessa pitch my life's work to what sounded like a room full of investors, claiming complete ownership of everything I'd built. "Who am I presenting to?" she asked. "Pinnacle Ventures? Perfect. I've heard they're very selective, so this is exactly the kind of validation MindBridge needs. Pinnacle Ventures, Dr. Hendricks' firm, my mentor's company. I quietly closed my door and immediately texted Dr. Hendricks. Emergency. Need to talk. She called within minutes. Jessica, what's wrong? You sound upset. I explained the situation, my voice shaking with a mixture of rage and disbelief. Dr. Hendricks listened silently until I finished. I see, she said, her tone carefully neutral. And this presentation is scheduled for tomorrow. Apparently, she's pitching to your firm, using my code, my research, everything. There was a long pause. Jessica, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Don't confront her. Don't let on that you know anything. Can you do that? I don't understand. Shouldn't we stop this? Dr. Hendricks' voice carried a hint of amusement. Oh, we're going to stop it. But sometimes the best way to catch a thief is to let them walk into the trap themselves. The next morning, Vanessa spent 2 hours getting ready, applying makeup like she was preparing for a magazine shoot. She bought a new blazer and was practicing her presentation in the mirror. I have a huge meeting today, she announced, adjusting her jacket. Career-changing stuff. You probably wouldn't understand since you're more of a behind-the-scenes person, but this is how real entrepreneurs make their mark. I sipped my coffee and nodded. Sounds important. Good luck. She beamed at what she interpreted as genuine support. Thanks, Jess. Maybe someday you'll understand what it takes to think bigger than just coding for other people. After she left, I couldn't concentrate on work. I kept checking my phone, waiting for updates from Dr. Hendricks. Finally, at 2:47 p.m., she texted, It's done. Call me tonight. Vanessa returned home that evening looking triumphant. She burst through the door with the energy of someone who just conquered the world. Jess, you will not believe how amazing today was, she gushed, tossing her blazer dramatically onto the couch. The presentation was absolutely perfect. The investors were hanging on every word. I looked up from my laptop. That's great. How did it go? Beyond my wildest expectations. They were so impressed with MindBridge's potential. One of the partners said it was the most innovative mental health platform he'd seen in years. She was practically glowing with self-satisfaction, completely oblivious to the storm that was about to hit her. They want to move forward immediately, she continued. We're scheduling a second meeting next week to discuss terms. Jessica, I'm going to be rich and successful. Finally, someone who recognizes real vision when they see it. I closed my laptop slowly. Vanessa, can I ask you something? Of course. I'm feeling so generous right now. When you say you created MindBridge, what exactly do you mean? Her expression flickered slightly. What kind of question is that? I mean, I created it, conceived it, designed it, built it. Why? It's just interesting, because I've been working on something with a very similar name and concept. What are the odds? Vanessa's confidence faltered for just a moment before she recovered. Great minds think alike, I guess. Though I'm sure whatever you've been working on is much more basic. No offense, but you've always been more of a worker bee than a visionary. I nodded thoughtfully. You're probably right. Tell me about the investors you met with. Anyone I might know? I doubt it. These are serious venture capitalists, not the kind of people in your usual circles. The lead partner was this incredibly impressive woman, Dr. Patricia something. She seemed really excited about the project. My heart rate spiked, but I kept my voice level. Dr. Patricia Hendricks? Vanessa's eyes widened. Yes, exactly. How do you know that name? Lucky guess. She's pretty well known in tech circles. Well, anyway, she was fascinated by my approach to emotional pattern recognition. She kept asking these really detailed questions about the algorithms and the machine learning models. It was clear she understood the technical sophistication of what I've built. I stood up slowly. Vanessa, I need to tell you something. What now? I'm trying to celebrate here. Dr. Patricia Hendricks has been my mentor for 2 years. We've been developing MindBridge together. She's already committed to funding it. The color drained from Vanessa's face. That's impossible. You don't even have mentors. You just sit in your room coding. I pulled out my phone and showed her my message history with Dr. Hendricks. Months of detailed conversations about algorithms, user testing, market analysis, screenshots of code reviews, business plan iterations. technical specifications. Vanessa grabbed my phone, scrolling frantically through the messages. Her hands were shaking. This can't be real. You're making this up somehow. The meeting you had today wasn't a pitch presentation, Vanessa. It was a trap. Dr. Hendricks wanted to see exactly how far you'd go with your theft. My phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Hendricks. Is she there? We need to talk. I answered the call and put it on speaker. Dr. Hendricks' voice filled the room, crisp and professional. Good evening, Jessica. I assume Vanessa is listening. Vanessa collapsed onto the couch, staring at the phone in horror. Hello, Vanessa, Dr. Hendricks continued. I have to say, your presentation today was quite impressive. You demonstrated a remarkable understanding of technology you had no hand in creating. I can explain. I'm sure you can. Corporate espionage and intellectual property theft do require some explanation. Fortunately, Jessica and I have been documenting every aspect of MindBridge development for the past 18 months. Patents, code repositories, design documents, all time-stamped and legally protected. Vanessa looked at me with desperation. Jess, come on. We're roommates. We're friends. This is just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Dr. Hendricks' voice carried an edge of steel. You presented stolen intellectual property to investors, claiming sole ownership of technology you couldn't build if your life depended on it. That's not a misunderstanding. That's fraud. What happens now? Vanessa whispered. Now, Jessica and I move forward with our original plan. MindBridge launches in 6 months with full venture backing. You, on the other hand, should probably consult with an attorney. Word travels fast in Silicon Valley, and attempted IP theft doesn't look good on anyone's resume. After Dr. Hendricks hung up, Vanessa and I sat in silence for several minutes. Finally, she spoke. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I wanted to be successful. Like you. Like me. I looked at her in disbelief. Vanessa, you spent 3 years telling me I was antisocial, unambitious, just a code monkey with no business sense. I know. I was jealous. You make it look so easy, building these incredible things while I struggle to create a decent marketing campaign. When I saw your work, I thought maybe I could steal it and pass it off as your own. She didn't answer. The next morning, I found her room empty. She packed everything and left during the night, leaving only a note. I'm sorry. You deserved better from me. Dr. Hendricks called that afternoon. How are you holding up? Honestly, I'm relieved. I was wondering when she'd finally show her true colors. Well, you won't have to worry about her anymore. I've made it very clear to everyone in our network that attempting to partner with or fund anyone named Vanessa in connection with mental health technology would be inadvisable. That seems harsh. Jessica, what she did wasn't just personal betrayal. If we hadn't caught this, she could have damaged MindBridge's entire future. Patent disputes, legal challenges, regulatory scrutiny. She put everything you've worked for at risk. Dr. Hendricks was right. Vanessa's theft could have destroyed everything. Speaking of which, Dr. Hendricks continued, are you ready to go public with MindBridge? I think it's time to stop hiding your light under a bushel. 6 months later, I stood on the stage at TechCrunch Disrupt, presenting MindBridge to an audience of 2,000 investors, entrepreneurs, and media representatives. The app had launched 3 weeks earlier and already had 100,000 active users. Mental health technology isn't just about connecting people with therapists, I explained to the crowd. It's about creating AI systems that can recognize emotional patterns and provide personalized intervention before crisis points are reached. The demonstration went flawlessly. Users reported 89% satisfaction rates, and our retention metrics were unprecedented in the mental health space. During the Q&A, a journalist asked about my background. You seem to have come out of nowhere with this technology. How long have you been working in mental health? I smiled. I've been developing therapeutic applications for 12 years, though I kept a relatively low profile until now. Sometimes the best innovations happen when you focus on the work rather than the publicity. After the presentation, Dr. Hendricks found me backstage. How does it feel to finally get the recognition you deserve? Surreal. 3 years ago, my roommate was telling me I'd never amount to anything because I didn't network enough. And now, I showed her my phone. Twitter notifications, LinkedIn messages, interview requests from major publications. Now everyone wants to know about the antisocial coder who built the future of digital mental health. That evening, I received an unexpected message on LinkedIn. It was from Vanessa. Jessica, I saw your presentation on TechCrunch. I wanted to say congratulations and to apologize again for what I did. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I want you to know I've learned from my mistakes. I'm back in school getting my MBA, focusing on ethical business practices. What you've built is incredible, and I'm sorry I try to take credit for your brilliance. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Thank you for the apology, Vanessa. I'm glad you're working on yourself. Good luck with school. Sometimes forgiveness isn't about the other person deserving it. Sometimes it's about refusing to let their mistakes continue affecting your success. A year later, MindBridge had raised $75 million in Series B funding and was being used by major healthcare systems across the country. I'd moved into a penthouse apartment downtown, traded my old laptop for a state-of-the-art workstation, and assembled a team of 15 brilliant engineers who shared my vision for accessible mental health technology. Dr. Hendricks and I had dinner last week to celebrate MindBridge being named one of Time magazine's Inventions of the Year. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Vanessa had succeeded? She asked. I consider the question. Sometimes. But then I remember that people like her can only steal ideas, not the ability to execute them. Even if she'd fooled investors initially, she never could have built what MindBridge has become. The truth has a way of surfacing, Dr. Hendricks agreed, especially when you have the documentation to prove it. As I write this, MindBridge is preparing for international expansion, and I've been invited to speak at mental health conferences around the world. The antisocial coder, who supposedly lacked business vision, is now featured on magazine covers as one of the most innovative entrepreneurs of her generation. And Vanessa? I heard through mutual connections that she finished her MBA and landed a job at a small marketing firm where she apparently excels at creating authentic, ethical campaigns. Sometimes people do learn from their mistakes. But I've learned something too. Never underestimate the power of quiet competence. While others network and boast about their visions, the real innovators are usually the ones working late into the night, building the future one line of code at a time. And sometimes, the best revenge is simply succeeding beyond anyone's wildest imagination, including your own.